So I love that what you're doing because it's bringing unity, it's bringing us together, and we need more of that. Yeah, it's either you're free or you're dead. You have to fight for your freedom. Like, there's nothing hard for me in America. You know what I mean?
AfriKili family and Global P.A.C Nation. Welcome to our conversation. Today I'm very excited to bring to you a very special guest, Mr. Stephane Leveque. Stephane is a member of the Global P.A.C, the Global Pan-African Community, hailing from the country of Haiti. We will have a broad-ranging conversation. We will talk about life in Haiti and in the United States. We will talk about politics. We will talk about business. We will talk about hobbies. As you will see throughout this conversation, Stephane is such a well rounded and interesting individual who started his career in a very exclusive Big Four accounting firm in the United States, but then decided to go into entrepreneurship. And today is an executive in a property management company. But aside from that, in his hobbies, he's an avid cyclist who does events ranging going as far as 150 miles cycling on the road. And he is also an avid guitar player, having started an independent music band. I have no doubt that you will find this conversation riveting, interesting, and enlightening. Make sure to let us know at the end what you think about the show. Send your comments, tell us what you like, what you do not like, or even concept and ideas of what you would like for us to cover in the future. And finally, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, click the subscribe button, and help us grow and support this concept. That being said, thank you very much for tuning in today, and it is my hope that you will enjoy today's conversation. Stephane, welcome to the Global P.A.C Show.
Tony, thank you so much for the invite. I'm so proud of you for doing this. Love the vision. Love the fact that you're giving a voice to, the average people here in the diaspora living here. So I love that what you're doing because it's bringing unity, it's bringing us together, and we need more of that. So thank you for inviting me.
Greetings in Creole. Bonjour et bienvenue.
Bonjour Tony, merci beaucoup pour l'invitation qu'on m'a donnée aujourd'hui. Et merci en pile. Et so ap ese fè la, ap ese fon travay kap mene tout moun yo ensemble, kap mene Haïtien ensemble, mais tout kap mene diaspora ensemble. Okay? Donc, Tony, merci beaucoup.
How does Stephane, a kid from Haiti, end up in Los Angeles?
Yeah, born and raised in Haiti, came to the States in 1999. And I went from Haiti and I moved to Los Angeles. And I didn't do the normal route of going to New York or to Miami. So I was definitely a kid in a candy store. Really loved being in Los Angeles. It's just a beautiful place at the time. I moved there in 1999. So great experience over there. And so when I was over there, I was really lucky, right? Just finding the right people. I think the second day I got there, I started working right away. So I had a job. I couldn't speak the language, but by the time they realized that, it was too late. It was 6 months down the line, and I was able to learn the language and by going to night school and stuff like that. So I was able to get through. And then I asked somebody, I said, hey, what school do I need to go to? What do I need to do? And I'll find the right people in my path to put me in the right direction. Did the community college route, and then when I was there, I said, okay, so what's next? And then they said, yeah, go to UCLA or USC, right? Not knowing what they were, what school they were, and then I applied to them, and then I got into at USC, and that's where I got my undergrad there. But when you were asking about Haiti, and we'll talk about my journey and all that stuff maybe later. But just to go back to Haiti, Yeah, Haiti is. I left it, like I said, in 1999, and it was really tough then, and it got even tougher later. So my personal story about that is kind of funny. I mean, I was having a very comfortable life out there, right?
Mhm.
Haiti was pretty tough, but my life was very comfortable, and so I didn't want to come here. So my mom said, "Hey, I got you a ticket. You should, leave, and um, because I'm going to leave myself." I didn't believe her, right? So I took the ticket and I ripped it apart.
Wow, you
Wow, you
ripped the
ripped
ticket
the
apart to
ticket
come to the
apart.
U.S.
Yeah.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I'm not leaving. I'm staying here. I'm comfortable. I got my car. I mean, you just don't know what you don't know. This time I'm an 18-year-old kid, 17-year-old kid. I don't know what I don't know. And then she put it together, and then she came back to me and said, "Yo, if you don't leave, I'm leaving. You're gonna be here by yourself. Understand that." And so I took the ticket, and I was like, "Okay, fine, I'll go," and crying and all that stuff. And I got to LA, and I was like, "I'm in heaven here. This is a beautiful place," and we had a good time there. And like I said, all the stuff kind of lined up.
While you were in Haiti, where were you getting your information to help visualize how life might be in the United States of America?
Willie Nelson.
Willie
Willie
Nelson.
Nelson.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. That was the first. Do you remember that show? Okay, so Miami Vice.
Yes.
Okay, Miami Vice. Knight Rider.
Night
Right,
Rider.
Knight Rider. The 18, right? And then Willie Nelson, right? So that's the kind of stuff I knew about here. And then when I first moved, so didn't know anything about Los Angeles. I never heard of Los Angeles before. Like Haitians only go to Miami
Right.
and New York. So honest to you, man, I think there are only two places in the whole in the whole USA. And that was
Miami.
Miami and New York. That's it. And Willie Nelson and the A team and that kind of stuff. So that was my point of reference to here. So when I walked into the Los Angeles LAX, I had no idea where I was, man. So freeways, big streets like that, electricity 24/7. I mean, yeah, I was like a kid in a candy store. Like, when are they going to take the electricity away? No, they're not going to suffice to it. Like, oh my God. Yeah, yeah, good times. So I was like a kid in a candy store, and they thought I was going to be sad and all that stuff. Man, no, I was really curious. I was reading all the time. My sister, I have a wonderful sister, and she allowed me to stay with her from 1999 until 2003,
Okay.
free of charge. And talk about a miracle, right?
I mean, yeah.
Um, and just loving, loving, loving. And so I owe everything to her. So, but just having people being put in front of me the entire time has been something that I'm very, very, thankful for.
How are you able to join a Big Four accounting firm after enrolling and obtaining an accounting degree at the University of Southern California?
So at USC, I was really lucky again. Putting the right people in front of you. I remember that day I couldn't buy the accounting book, so I had to borrow that book from one of the students. And I think that day I was returning the book to her and say thank you for letting me borrow the book. And as I'm giving her the book, she introduced me to the recruiter at Deloitte, and she was just as simple as that. She said, "Hey, today we're having a internship meeting on campus. Can you come back? We have to wear a suit." Yeah, and so I went home real quick that day and came back and went to it. And she gave me an offer to intern over there at Deloitte. It was the best summer of my life. And so it was a lot of learning happening, meeting with partners, meeting with, I mean, just a big camaraderie of people.
Okay.
And being introduced to accounting in that way was amazing. Was really cool. Everybody that I was working with went to USC too. because it's a local company. So it was a great experience after I left USC because of that. And so, one of the things, so after the internship, I got a job. And so that was my full-time job right after college. Went to work for a big four accounting firm. It's like, what? And then it's as I'm working there, I'm learning how cool that is. But the the cool thing they did too is they did a lot of training in different cities. So we would go to Atlanta, we would go to Scottsdale, Arizona, we would go to Houston. We came to Houston, and so I had to visit all these places. And I was visiting, I was really like trying to understand the economy of the places. Like, it's the first place I've ever been to besides LA, right? So I made a lot of friends and get a lot of feedback. And what I was hearing at the time, 2005, 2004, was, yeah, we have it better here than you do have it in California. And I'm like, no, we have it good in California, right?
Right.
And that got me thinking. I go back to California and I'm asking questions like, hey, how much did you buy your house? And they would tell me, at the time, I'm talking about 2004, 2005, the average house prices over there was $200,000 over there, whereas in Houston it was $84,000, right?
Wow.
And do you remember those days when house prices were cheaper over here?
Yeah, that's like different century. Yes.
Yeah, but that was 2007, 2008. So it wasn't that long ago. But I get your point. It's a long time. That's 20 years.
20.
Absolutely.
I feel old. But yeah, so that's when I looked at Houston and I'm like, this makes more sense. I can buy a house here, and the schools were better, believe it or not, than LA. LA at the time was going through some kind of experiment with their school system. So it was upside down because my nephew was going there.
Okay.
Because my sister had a nephew, has a son, and that's my nephew. And we lived together, and I saw how him going to school and how that was disturbing. So anyway, long story short, I ended up understanding that's not a good place to raise kids. So when I looked at Houston, HISD was in a better shape than it is today, but it was a good system at the time.
How did your upbringing in Haiti prepare you to succeed at USC in such an exclusive firm like Deloitte?
In life, I think there are inflection points. There are times when there are times that really change your life.
Right.
You may not realize that at the time, but if you kind of like go back, and I believe everybody has a time when their life took an inflection point, went to a different direction. And for me, that was in 1991 to 1994. And there it was have you ever seen the movie Home Alone?
Oh yes.
So that's pretty much my story in Haiti, but instead of 48 hours, like for him, it was more like 4 years. Living in Haiti by myself as a 13-year-old, and from 91 until 94, 95. And during that time, there was like a full embargo. So at the time, my mom left the country, and everybody pretty much in my family left the country. It was me, and then I was supposed to leave too. And that day, it turned out my passport was expired. I had a visa, but no passport. And so they pretty much dropped me back home, and I was pretty much the head of the household for about 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and then that story was suppressed in my head for the longest time. I never thought about it. And then one day my manager called me and said, hey, you have, what's your deal with, I have a 30-year-old daughter. So just to be perfectly honest, I have a 30-year-old daughter that I had in Haiti. So she lives in Dominican Republic now.
Okay.
But during that time, I'm the head of the household. And then, I'm pretty much providing for the house, right? And you have in Haiti, there's a system that I hate so much, but I have to talk about it, right? It's the servant system, right?
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
And it's pretty much you have people working at your house and you're not necessarily paying them, but you're sending them to school, supposedly, right? So to me, that's a form of slavery. So my mom had one of those. We had one of those in the house, and it's you live in a country where you have people serving you,
Right.
Right.
and they have no rights, right? So anyway, long story short, this I had to survive between those 4 or 5 years. You talk about like an embargo. I don't know if you know what that term means.
Yes.
But you live on an island, and there's already everything's scarce already on the island, and so you rely on the rest of the world to provide you with stuff. Um, you know, all your fuel,
Right.
Right.
your some of your food, some of your basic necessities are coming from different places, and so when you have an embargo, you are restricted from any communication with anybody outside,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what happened to Haiti for 4 years. No banking system was working, no nothing. Right at the time, the 1 gallon of fuel was $50, $50
Really?
in
US
1991.
dollar.
Yes,
$50.
$50.
Oh my
Oh
God.
my God.
Not in today's money,
Yes.
Yes.
in 1991 money.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay, so you do the math on that. I don't know what that is, but $50 for a gallon of gas. That's the environment that I got myself in at 13. So and then for that to happen, then you have to suppress the people. To suppress the people, then you need to have gangs. You need to have groups of people that are like defending the nation and so on, and they do whatever they want, right? They can shoot you, they can kill you. There's no justice system at the time. Nothing is working, nothing is functioning. That was a big mess, and that's one of the things that I don't hear too much about in the U.S., right? But that's something that was extraordinary. So I survived that time, and for some reason I suppressed that thought for the longest time. And then one day my manager asked me and said, "Stephane, what happened to you, in Haiti? Why do you have a 30-year-old daughter?" And I was explaining to her what I just explained to you here. So when you ask me the question, what makes me want to do? I mean, everything is easy from there. I mean, what could be harder than that? That's the way I think I look at life. When I see people complaining about stuff, I understand what they're talking about. But in the back of my head, I'm like, man, you have no freaking idea
Wow.
Wow.
how
Yeah.
hard life can be. Like, there's nothing hard for me in America, you know what I mean? So I never see racism either, because if I want to be perfectly honest, I'm here because, we can't get along.
Because
Because we
can't
can't get along.
Yeah, I mean, I think the reason why, I left my country is because there was all this fighting happening, right? All these toppling of presidents, like that,
Right.
a lack of unity, right? So therefore, that lack of unity is because of classism,
Mm.
because of, you can call it racism too, because there's a skin color, right? Division.
Colorism.
Yeah, there's colorism,
Mhm.
There's just so much that can go into it. Make us fight all the time. We're fighting all the time. And so when somebody says racism, I don't see it the same way. I see it like from the angle, like if a police officer pulls me over in Haiti, I'm probably dead. Okay? I'm probably dead. Or I'm gonna be in jail. My cousin went to jail for 7 years for being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Right?
Are you saying that the magnitude of the problem is a lot worse in Haiti compared to the United States of America?
Yeah.
Okay.
Much graver in Haiti than here. That's the truth for me. I'm more comfortable here. I feel more comfortable here than back home. I think that's the reality for a lot of us, right?
Mm.
It's just, I mean, it's difficult to be back home. There's always, there's always, there's always a fight. There's always,
Right.
a fight that's killing, hundreds of people at a time.
Are you correlating today's gang problem in Haiti to what started happening during the embargo you mentioned? Or is it a totally different phenomenon?
Oh yeah, it's a continuation of it. When you have an embargo, you really suffocate the country.
Mhm.
So you have to live, right?
Right.
Right.
So there are different gangs, there are different pockets that were created, and when the president that they put back on there, when he got back in power, then it was he's come to revenge himself,
Mm.
and one of the revenge is to dismantle the army because the army was part of the reason why he was toppled, right?
Right.
So Haiti is functioning without an army, without any group that can contain issues that would arise. So it's only based with a police system,
Mhm.
and no countries really can really survive on just a police system. They don't have the equipment, they don't have their certain training they don't have, so you really can't contain people. So then you get into a culture of everybody needs to protect themselves. So when I was in Haiti in '99, and before that, you would hear people say, I have a business downtown, but I have groups that are protecting it for me. And that group protect this little area or this one business. And then and over time you give them money, right? And then so they start buying guns. They have cash in their hands.
Are the guns being bought locally or imported?
The people that are giving them those jobs, the security jobs, right, to protect their business, to protect their area, then those owners, what they're doing is they're providing them with the guns, they're providing them with the bullets because they're the ones, the elite, because that's who's giving them the money. They're the ones who own the they own the country pretty much,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
They own the ports. They own all, so therefore they're the ones that have access to the guns and to all
Right.
the things. So now, but as they are doing that, they are giving them guns and ammunition for the leftover ammunitions. They go and they kidnap people with it.
Mm.
And so in that kidnapping becomes a source of income as well. Okay.
Because
So
they
Because they ask for
ransoms
ransoms when you kidnap people.
right.
Okay.
So now they make the money that way. And then they just take that money and they buy guns with it.
I see.
And now they can, apparently it's because of Haiti I'm finding about all this stuff. Apparently the most lucrative business in the world is to sell guns. Right? It's one of the big businesses now. So if you have money, you're gonna find someone that's gonna sell you guns. So that's how simple, it got simple. So now they didn't need the elite anymore to buy their guns. They can buy their own guns. So they have pretty much some gangs now are taking a lot of territories and the whole city's taken over now. It's a big mess down there.
Are historical factors continuing to play a role in shaping Haiti's current situation?
I love Haitian history. I love
Okay.
history so much, right? So we are the first Black republic.
That's right.
That's right.
And there's nothing that gives me more pride. It means so much to me, and what it means to me is that no one can tell me I'm free.
Okay.
Okay. No one can tell you if it.
No one needed to ever tell me in my life or my grandparents or my great grandparents. Nobody needed to
Yes.
tell
Oh,
me
yes. Okay.
because we fought for our freedom
Yes.
and we decapitated the system.
Right.
Right.
That's what happened in Haiti. We decapitated the system, which is a system of oppression, a system of slavery. We didn't say, we didn't do it in a way that was calm either. We did it in a very, very bloody and violent way. We had to fight for our life. And one of the things I love so much is, and it comes from Haiti, this saying, freedom or death,
Okay.
right?
Okay. Freedom or death.
Can you
Can
elaborate?
you elaborate?
Yeah, it's either you're free or you're dead. You have to fight for your freedom. essentially what happened is Napoleon, with the biggest army in the world at the time, sent to Haiti an army of 5,000 troops.
Okay.
At the time, I think it was one of the biggest international battle he was going to have to combat Haitians, right? And so, and we fought and we won. And we said, hey, we don't want, this is our country now. And slavery is no longer something that we want to do.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a couple of years later, they assassinated the Desailly, right? Who was the architect. So at first it was Toussaint Louverture, and it's a general in Haiti that took over in 1791. So an amazing general, and he took over and he basically gave, after he fought for 12 years, he gave Napoleon Bonaparte, he wrote a letter saying, hey, he didn't say that, I'm the winner, you're the loser. He basically saying, hey, we want slavery to be over. We don't think that's the way humankind should work together. Simple.
Right.
And you are still the owner of this land, but that's the only, we ask you for the same thing that you're providing to French people, essentially, which is at the time in 1791, if you remember, it's the French Revolution as well, that then inspired Haitians to want that also for Haiti. Why not? But apparently France had different ideas. It was, that freedom was only for French people.
Right.
Not necessarily for so that's what he had to fight for. He fought and he won. And so Napoleon Bonaparte then find a way to create treason within the country, because they said, hey, it's either you give us Toussaint Louverture after he won, either you give us, this man, or we will fight until, forever.
Okay.
To get the land back. So the people, the generals at the time had a choice to make. So it's either we all die or we give up to Toussaint. That's what he did. And so they did. They gave up Toussaint. Then, when Toussaint was leaving, he said, "You can kill me, but all the roots are going to grow back, and we'll keep that freedom going." And that's indeed what happened with Dessalines. And Dessalines now had the word from Napoleon saying, hey, just give me Toussaint, and then we're just going to leave, and I'll never come back. Or come to find out, Napoleon was at the same time preparing for the biggest war he ever had with 5,000 troops, something crazy like that. And so Toussaint had to convince slaves, right? With very little amount of ammunition, very little amount of guns. You can imagine, right? It's an island. We don't make guns. So, getting the whole country together, keeping up the army and feeding the army and doing all the things you can imagine, and really keeping up against Napoleon's army, beat them again. And that's when we got our independence in 1804, January 1st, 1804. And that's when we got our independence.
And we became the first
Free black
republic.
Great Black Republic. And that means so much, right? That means so much. That's the first one that said, because at the time there were people that were against slavery, right?
Right.
The abolitionists, right? But they didn't do anything. All they were doing is they were in the courts, and talking about, making philosophies, theories about slavery, why it's bad, and all those things. Haiti is the only country where we didn't tell you. We showed you
Right.
how to eradicate it. and I'm proud of that.
Napoleon imposed a large debt to punish Haitians for their freedom. Are there still lingering effects of that debt burden?
We had to pay for our freedom. And it was in the trillions of dollars in today's dollars. And that's the biggest thing. And so reparation is something that's absolutely needed for countries like that. And not just Haiti, by the way, Jamaica, Barbados, all the islands, they had to pay something. Jamaica had to pay something too. And they all had to pay something. And so even in the US, recently I learned that they were supposed to give 40 acres and a mule to black people. And that 40 acres and a mule was given, but it was given to white farmers. Go figure. Right? So
the land was taken back.
right. So they paid them. So it's kind of the same thing. It wasn't just in Haiti, by the way. That happened everywhere. That attitude of like we need to pay the aggressor.
Right.
That deal. But so
The Trump administration stripped the temporary protective status, and over 500 Haitians are facing deportation. How does the Haitian American community feel, and what should the response be to the current political climate?
yeah, it's a disaster. It's something. Yeah, during the Biden. So what happened is with those 500,000, as you know, during the Biden administration, they were giving what's the word? Too many. They were giving
Like refugees and asylum.
refugee asylum, refugee status to a lot of people. And so in Haiti, it was called the Biden program. And that's disastrous on so many levels. And one level is the fact that people that were given the hope that they were going to come to the United States sold everything they had. Sold everything. If they had a property, they would sell it. Everything they had. If they had, whatever they have, they would sell it to basically have enough money to leave.
Right.
So a lot of people came, and so those are the ones that you are referring to right now, which is a small percentage of the ones that didn't come, by the way. A vast majority didn't come, that they were given the hope to come, right?
Okay.
Okay.
Those people also sold everything they had,
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
right? So it's something so disastrous. So and then now you're looking at the ones that were able to leave. So all they want to do is be able to work and provide. And so it hurts. It hurts so bad that this administration is taking that stance on that, But it's disastrous. The whole thing. Part of me thinks that maybe this opportunity it would have been better if it was not given.
Yeah.
That hope.
That hope was not given and so on.
Right? It feels like that now. It feels like it shouldn't have been given in the first place. Because now all these people are going to be in a worse situation than they were before. Some people already got a lease, leasing a house for 1 year, bought a car. All these things that is going to be disastrous for the economy, for those people, for their families, their kids. It's bad.
Should different immigrant communities unite and address the challenges brought by the Trump administration together?
My humble thoughts is very, very simple. It's unity, and that unity needs to be shown in the creation of a trust,
Okay.
the creation of a sort of a bank, shall I say, right? Whether it's the African Diaspora Bank, whether it's the Congolese Bank, whether we all need to have our different banks, that's fine. But we all need to have our banks. And without money, you cannot move anything. And if our money is not concentrated in one place, then we're not going to have access to it to make our voices heard. Because our voices are heard in America when you have access to the senators, when you have access to the political system. And Tony, you can talk about a little bit about that as well, right? So you know that you need money to make things move, to move the dial, and then only the diaspora can do that. But the diaspora is stuck between a rock and a hard place, in the sense that we have to send money back home.
Right.
Family members, it's a must.
Yes.
If we don't, their quality of life will be disastrous, right? Not even like just to keep them afloat. We need to send them something, right? So that's a must. And so when we send them money, that's great. They need that money. There's no question about it. But at the same time, sometimes the diaspora, that's all the money they have to spare, because they still have their children here. We still have our lives here. We still have, expenses here. And so you don't have any more money. So now you're voiceless because you don't have any money. You are split in many different directions. We are all split in many different, and we have no money concentrated anywhere where we can say, hey, we would like to donate $2,000 to this senator. So, because he said he can advance our cause, right? So, and that's just one example out of many, many, many things we can do once we start putting our money together, using unity, not just as a theory, but as something concrete, which is trust. And then for me, trust is something that is so hard in my community.
Okay.
People just don't trust anybody. And I think that's a big, big problem in my community. And so that needs to be fixed. That can be fixed, and it needs to be fixed. We need to start trusting each other again. And the way to do that is really doing what you're doing right now, which is this meeting, this podcast, right? Bringing us together so we can share ideas, share thoughts. And the consistency of those meetings now is what's going to dictate which direction we're going to be able to take. If there is consistency in what you're doing, Tony, and there is consistency, you've been doing this for what, 2 years, 3 years,
3 years.
5 years, right? So in asking you've been consistent with this, and you want the unity to happen, and that's what needs to happen. We need to find a place where we can sit down, talk with each other. Your group can get bigger, right? And we can talk with each other about very specific things. What does, or ask the question like you just asked me, right? What is my perspective on how things can be fixed? And then use data to find out, and then we all go and trying to do that. That's so. If you ask me what's the future looks like for me too, yeah, I love what I do. I'm in sales. I don't think I mentioned that earlier. I'm in sales. Love what I do so much. But at the same time, my second mountain in the future and now, depending on what opportunity I can get for time,
Right.
is to really start talking about stuff like that. How can we put a bank together, the diaspora bank? How can we put our money together so we can do things? And so we can change our politics back home, because they have no respect. I mean, in Haiti, for example, the diaspora has no respect
Right.
at all. And the reason is being, in the meantime, we're supporting 90% of the economy back home. Let's be clear, right? We're supporting 90% of that economy, and yet we have no say in what can or cannot happen back home. And that can only happen if we have our money concentrated together.
Pull our funds.
Pull our funds together. So I think we need to get there, and that's, to me, that would be a dream. That
Based on your business and entrepreneurship experience, do you think it is possible for immigrants and Black people in general to succeed as entrepreneurs in the United States of America?
Like, I, I truly believe that the U.S. gives you the opportunity to live the life that you want.
Okay.
Okay.
You know, um, and it allows you. I still believe that this country allows you to um, succeed on your own merits,
Okay.
Okay.
if you will, right? Um, I truly believe that. Again, I'm coming from a background that's pretty tough, where back home it's tough to get a job,
Right.
Right.
and compared to that, it's easy. To me, from my perspective, and so getting a job or starting a business to me was super easy. So when I decided to start a business, don't have any idea of what that was. I just jumped into it because I really didn't like my life. As great as the job was, with the actual, when I actually moved to Houston, it was a different culture, different people. Like I said, back in LA, it was you know, everybody went to the same school, so it was a very amazing environment, friendly environment. When I moved here, it was different. Everybody was cliquish. They all kind of knew each other, so I didn't really like that part. And I hated the fact I didn't like that part because it was good money. And then so I left there, and then I went to a privately owned company and worked there for another 9 years, and really didn't like that experience either. Didn't like tax.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I was like, okay, you know what? I'm out. So, but I thought I hated corporate. I thought that's the way corporate was. But it turns out that's not the way corporate was. It was just my personality didn't match the personality of somebody who's an accountant. That's pretty much what it was. And then it was my sister that called me and said, the certification you have, you can use it for all the things, other than accounting. You know that, right? And I knew that. But I was so happy that she actually told me that day, because so I started to look around and look into sales,
Okay.
Okay.
and I've been doing sales since for a little bit now, for about 7 years now. So
Wow. And this was the same sister you lived with
yes,
from
yes,
99
yes,
to okay.
yeah.
That
Wow,
you
that
enjoy a
you
lot,
enjoy a
your
lot of your
sister,
sister,
A
huh?
lot.
Yeah.
That's my girl. That's my girl.
Okay.
I
Okay.
call her all the time, and that's we help each other that way. But I tell you what, she helped me more than I could ever help her. But yeah, amazing. So it's people that know you, stay close to people that know you, because they're the ones that are gonna tell you who you really are sometimes, and where you're stuck. Sometimes you're stuck and you don't realize it until somebody gives you a little nudge. So a perfect example is, you mentioned that I'm a cyclist, right? So I love to cycle long distance. So one time I was cycling, and it was different terrains, and you have to change gears when you go into different terrains. And so I knew that, I've been doing that, but in a particular stretch for an hour, I was going uphill on my hardest gear. And it's a buddy of mine that I cycle with all the time. He was passing me, and he said, "Change your gear." And I said, "Change the gear." I'm like, "Oh shit." I didn't get the curse. But and then so that's a reminder that sometimes you just need someone to give you a little nudge to let you know, hey, change gear. So that's what happened to me. And so love sales now. I'm a sales director at a staffing company today. And love. I'm really enjoying the work.
That
I
is
love
That
to
is
talk
awesome.
about it. Love to share ideas with people about it. Yeah, I love all of it. So love to train people, and so really enjoying the whole process there.
You have done the MS 150 bicycle race, riding over 150 miles. What compelled you to get into cycling?
So I didn't know anything about road cycling either. I showed up the first time to. So I used to do mountain biking.
Mhm.
So I did that, but I fell so bad, and I fell on a rock.
Wait.
Wait, you fell on a rock?
Yeah, because on mountain biking, you just go in forest, and
Right.
you kind of do the off roads stuff. So anyway, it was one of those obstacles. I fell really bad. So I'm like, you know what? I probably shouldn't do this. I'm getting too old. So let me get into road cycling. And so, but I didn't know anything about it. So when I got there, I had got there with kind of like my mountain bike. And so very quickly I realized that, like you said, you need to have the right equipment to do this. And so really, so I really started with a group in Sugar Land,
Okay.
and very welcoming group. And to me, it's like when you first move somewhere, one of the best things is to join a group of some sort.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the advice I would give somebody who wants to move here is to find a group to join. Um, it's something that you enjoy. And so I always enjoyed biking since I was a kid. I love cycling. I love being on a bike. So yeah, and then I feel so free. I still feel so good. So that's why I do it. And then now you're going to long distance, and that's fun too. Kind of like checking out new places on a bike. It's a lot slower way to experience somewhere new. So really enjoy the whole thing.
You turned your guitar hobby into something very serious by starting the band Waves Under the Sun. What motivated you?
It's been a great way for me to not necessarily wanting to go out and just staying at home. And so I've been, fortunate enough to find that as a hobby. But I was invited to join a drum circle by a guy that went to Africa. I went to Ghana to get a djembe.
Okay.
Okay.
And
And I'm sorry, I mean, djembe is a drum, right?
yeah, it's a drum, big drum. So he got it custom made back there, and he went to pick it up. And when he came back, he was inspired to start his own djembe group. So, but when he got me over there, I said, I'm not going to play djembe. I have to play guitar. I'm not going to play anything else. And so he said, okay, fine, you can join. And the next thing you know, everybody wanted to do their own thing. One person wanted to sing, one person wanted to play the bass and all the things. So I basically messed up the whole concept for him, but he was very happy about it. He was the drummer, right? So it all worked out. And so we started a band. It's called Waves Under the Sun. And so now all the members are gone except for me, and I have a singer now, singer songwriter, and we play pretty cool songs. I think it's pretty chill, pop type of music. So and then once a month, we have people come over. I think one time you came over.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I loved it. It was great
fun.
music.
So we appreciate you. And so once a month we have a little game at the house. We cook, and then we have music. It's just the best way to spend time with the kids, with the fam, and other things.
In conclusion, what final words of wisdom would you like to share with us?
I think for the people that are here, it's really about putting ourselves together, like I said earlier, putting our money together, participate in things like this, like Tony's doing right now, which is to bring people together, support.
Mhm.
How can people connect with you or follow your journey?
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn.
Yeah, LinkedIn. Stephane Leveque, LinkedIn. It's the most handsome person on there, so you'll find.
Huh?
No,
And I thought Stephane was humble when it started. But I guess he's just being real.
Good stuff.
No, just kidding.
Good stuff.
But yeah, hit me up anytime.
Stephane, thank you very much for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
You got it.
All right, folks, that was Mr. Stephane Leveque. At the beginning of this conversation, I promised you that the conversation would be very interesting, enlightening, entertaining, informational. Well, I hope that all that applied and more. So thank you very much for listening in until the end. And as we're concluding, let me remind you to please subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like, you share, but more importantly, send us a comment. Let us know what you liked, what you didn't like, what you agree with, what you did not agree with, so that together we can continue the conversation and we can continue growing this platform. So thank you very much once again. And as I like to say, remember, we are a beautiful people, we are a capable people, and we are a strong people. Don't let anybody convince you otherwise. More importantly, We are the Global P.A.C. So until next time, peace be with you. Asante sana, which means thank you very much in Swahili. And remember, we are the Global P.A.C.